What's good, everybody? I'm Jerry. About to check out how good was Prime Randy Orton in WWE. Actually, this video is about Wrestle Fusion. Prime Randy Orton is was despised. I definitely hated this man during that time. This was like 2007 to like maybe 09, 2010. I hated Randy Orton with a passion. The four wrestlers that I hated the most during that time was Randy Orton, Edge, Kurt Angle, and Mark Henry. I hated those guys with a passion. Randy Orton would be number one next to Edge, as like one and the same. To feel my hatred, especially when Randy cut his hair and he started punt kicking everybody in the head. Man, dude was definitely one of the greatest heels of the Ruthless Aggression era. But in my household, I hated that man so much, so bad. But we about to hop into this video and see how good Prime Randy Orton was. Let's go.
Randy Orton in his prime was pure evil.
Yes.
Prior to this, Orton was already the legend killer. He was
when he was the
legends
legend killer,
skull,
he was spitting in
putting them
people's
into
faces.
hospitals, and he'd already feuded against the likes of Mick Foley, Hulk Hogan, and The Undertaker.
Yep.
But after the split of Rated RKO, after Edge went to SmackDown and Orton was on his own again, this man turned into the biggest villain on Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
He made John Cena's life miserable.
He
destroyed the McMahons, and nobody was safe from the wrath of the Viper. So, how dominant was Randy Orton during his prime? How does his championship reign compare to other legends like John Cena, Triple H, and Edge? What made his transition into the Viper so iconic? Let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit the prime of one of the biggest villains in WWE history. Orton's evolution into WWE's most cold-blooded predator began with his pursuit of John Cena's WWE Championship in the summer of 2007. What started as a standard championship storyline quickly evolved into something far more disturbing. Orton was named the #1 contender for Cena's WWE title, and his strategy was simple. Attack the champion at every opportunity you get and soften Cena up for their match at SummerSlam. But SummerSlam didn't go according to plan. Despite his evil tactics, Orton lost the title match when Cena hit the FU for the victory. A lesser performer might have accepted defeat and moved on, but Orton wasn't a lesser performer. The next night on Raw, when William Regal denied his rematch request, Orton appealed directly to Vince McMahon. The chairman agreed to grant Orton his rematch, but on one condition. Orton had to prove that he wanted the title shot bad enough. Randy accepted the challenge, and what happened next established Orton as WWE's most ruthless antagonist. During Cena's match with King Booker, Orton interfered and crossed a line that shouldn't be crossed. After assaulting Cena, he turned his attention to Cena's dad, who was sitting at ringside supporting his son. Orton attacked Cena's father, kicked him in the head, and proved that he was willing to go to any lengths to become WWE champion. This act of cruelty earned Orton his rematch at Unforgiven, but Super Cena got his lick back and walked out with the title. But more importantly, during his feud with Cena, something started to change inside Randy. The pretty boy from Evolution was gone. The legend killer was starting to transform, and he was replaced by a calculating predator who would do whatever it took to achieve his goals. When he adopted the Viper nickname after injuring Cena on the October 1st episode of Raw, it felt like the perfect evolution of his character. Orton's RKO on the announce table put Cena on the shelf and forced him to vacate the WWE Championship. Orton had achieved his goal of becoming the top star on Raw through patience and calculated violence. Vince McMahon awarded Orton the championship at No Mercy, but Triple H decided to ruin the party. The game would defeat Orton in the opening contest of the night to win the title, but Orton would get the last laugh and walk out as the new face of WWE as No Mercy went off air. By October 2007, Randy had successfully transformed from the legend killer to WWE's most dangerous champion. The stage was set for a reign of terror that would define the next 2 years of his career.
Yes. It was like he was unbeatable.
Championship reign wasn't just about defending the title. It was about systematically breaking down every challenger who dared step into his path. Shawn Michaels was his first major test. When HBK returned to Super Kick Orton during his championship coronation, it reignited their rivalry from earlier in the year. At Cyber Sunday, Orton low-blowed Michaels and intentionally got himself disqualified to retain the title. The follow-up at Survivor Series was even more calculated, with the stipulation that Michaels would lose his title shot forever if he used the super kick, while Orton would lose the championship if he got disqualified. Towards the end, Orton managed to one-up the veteran Michaels and steal the win after a vicious RKO. Orton's next challenge came in the form of the returning Chris Jericho. Their brief feud ended at Armageddon, with
I remember when
JBL's
Chris Jericho
interference
came
helping
back.
Orton retain the title via disqualification. Orton's next challenger was none other than Jeff Hardy, and this is when the Viper started reaching new levels of cruelty.
He punted
when Orton
Matt,
punted Matt Hardy
so
in the
Jeff
head,
had to get
it was
revenge.
a clear statement that nobody was safe from Orton's wrath.
This when Jeff hit
retaliated by
damn
performing
Swanson. I remember
from
watching
30
this
feet
shit.
high, which created one of the
This
most memorable
crazy as
moments
hell.
in Raw history. Orton defeated Hardy at the Royal Rumble to retain the title, but a familiar foe
Like, I
returned
remember
to fulfill
watching
the
all
part.
of this.
John Cena's
Cena
return
came
from
back.
injury at the 2008 Royal Rumble
He wanted his
created
rematch
Orton's
the next
greatest
night.
challenge yet. Cena won
But
the
he had to
Rumble
wait.
and demanded his title shot immediately,
Yeah,
rather
on
than
Raw.
waiting for WrestleMania.
He had to wait,
At
though.
No Way Out, Orton slapped the ref and got himself intentionally disqualified to retain the title and stay on the top of WWE's food chain. The triple threat match at WrestleMania 24 was Orton's masterpiece. Facing both Cena and Triple H, he cemented his legacy by defeating two of the biggest names in WWE history on the grandest stage of them all. Orton eventually
And it's
lost the title
crazy,
to
I
Triple H
vaguely
in
remember
Backlash in a
WrestleMania
fatal
24.
four-way elimination match and failed to
I don't
regain the
remember
gold
none
at
of those
Judgment
matches.
Day and One Night Stand. The collarbone
Except Ric
injury
Flair
during the last man standing
retirement
match
match.
against Triple H at One Night Stand was a cruel
They put
twist
him
of
out of
fate.
action for like
Orton
a
had been
couple
building
months.
momentum toward another championship reign when Triple H's counter to the RKO sent him over the top rope with severe consequences. The injury forced him out of action just as the
Then
Viper
he
was reaching
re-injured
his
himself
peak.
in the motorcycle
But this turned
accident.
out to be a blessing in disguise, because what followed next would cement Orton
Got them
as
damn
a legit
tattoos and
menace
shit
to
when he
society.
came back.
Orton's return from injury in September of 2008 revealed a more calculating and more dangerous version of the Viper. Orton came back with a new theme song and formed The Legacy. Their first victim was none other than CM Punk. At Unforgiven, Orton attacked Punk backstage and forced the World Heavyweight Champion to vacate his title. But Orton's true masterpiece was his systematic destruction of the McMahon family.
He
The
punted
January
Vince.
19th episode of Raw, when Orton confronted Vince and Stephanie, would mark the beginning of one of the most personal
And
feuds
Shane
in
came
WWE history. When he claimed Stephanie was worthless and punted Vince in the head, Orton had crossed into unprecedented territory. To add insult to injury, Orton went on to win the Royal Rumble and earn a shot at the WWE title at
He actually
WrestleMania.
DDT'd,
To avenge her father,
Stephanie.
brought back her brother Shane.
Yes.
But even the returning prodigal son was no match for the ruthlessness
Then
of the
Batista
Viper.
came back.
Orton not only punted Shane in the skull, but he also laid out Stephanie with a RKO
I
in
thought
the
he
middle of the
DDT'd
ring.
her.
The attack on Stephanie wasn't just a statement. It was an
Triple
attack
H
on
came
the
in.
personal life of his former
I
mentor.
remember this feud.
Orton revealed that his attack on the McMahons was planned revenge against Triple H for kicking him out of Evolution 5 years ago. But just when everyone thought Orton couldn't stoop any lower, he handcuffed Triple H to the rope and forced him to watch as he kissed his own wife in front of him. The
Man, I
segment
was in the
generated
8th grade
massive buzz
watching
and
this.
set the stage for their WWE title match at WrestleMania.
This brings
Orton's
back
loss
so many
to Triple
memories.
H at WrestleMania could have ended his championship aspirations, but the Viper's comeback proved that setbacks only made him more dangerous. His third WWE Championship win at Backlash came when he kicked Triple H in the skull and pinned him in the six-man tag team match, while Legacy provided the numbers advantage he needed. The championship reign that followed showcased Orton at his most calculating. His title defense against Batista at Judgment Day ended in disqualification. Losing the title to Batista in the steel cage at Extreme Rules was a temporary setback that Orton quickly turned into an advantage. The attack on Batista the following night that forced him to vacate the championship due to arm injury showed the Viper's opportunistic nature at its peak. When opponents couldn't be beaten cleanly, they could be eliminated through systematic violence. Orton regained the championship in a fatal four-way match against Big Show, Triple H, and John Cena, as multi-man matches favored his opportunistic style, allowing him to strike out of nowhere when opponents were distracted. Orton wrapped up his feud with Triple H by defeating him at the Bash in a 3 Stages of Hell match before moving on to his biggest challenge. Orton reignited his feud with Cena in the summer of 2009, and this gave us some of the most memorable matches of the PG era. The SummerSlam match against Cena showcased the underhanded tactics that made Orton so effective as champion. Eye rakes, rope leverage, and breaking every rule in the book meant Cena's superior strength meant nothing when Orton refused to fight fair. Cena got another shot at breaking point in an I Quit match, but Orton showed how vicious he could be in hardcore situations. Orton handcuffed Cena to the ring post and tortured him with a kendo stick, before Cena broke free and forced Orton to quit and win the title. Orton bounced back next month at Hell in a Cell and recaptured the title. The final Iron Man match at Bragging Rights was the perfect ending to their rivalry. Orton tried every tactic in the book and almost blew Cena up with pyro, but eventually fell short to Super Cena's plot armor. By the end of 2009, Orton had proven himself as WWE's apex predator. Shortly after, Orton would turn face, defeat Legacy at WrestleMania, and even go on to win the WWE title as a babyface in mid-2010. After 2010, Orton would go on to have more championship reigns and memorable feuds.
You gotta talk about his feud with Christian,
2009,
man.
Orton was on a whole different level. Today, Randy Orton is a respected veteran and future Hall of Famer.
I hated that man during that time.
He is a 14-time world champion, one of the most accomplished wrestlers of his generation, and a master of in-ring psychology. But his incredible 2-year run from 2007 to 2009 was what established his legacy as one of WWE's most ruthless villains. From his methodical revenge against the McMahons to his reign of terror as WWE champion, Orton was the perfect foe to Raw's babyfaces. This was the Viper unleashed, and it was absolutely venomous.
Alright, y'all, that was my reaction to how good was Prime Randy Orton in WWE. Actually, hey, Wrestle Fusion, you gotta react to Randy Orton versus Christian's feud from 2009. No, from 2011. From the match they had on SmackDown to Christian losing the championship 5 days later after winning it, to the crazy little small little rivalry that they had during the summer of that year, man. So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments of what y'all thought of my reaction to this video. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.